to show you Solar Flawless Spire the Watcher dungeon during Rite of the 9 on Eternity difficulty. The last video I showed you was done on Explorer. On Explorer you cannot obtain Solar Flawless emblems. It says so on the tooltip. However, on Ultimatum and Eternity you can obtain Solar Flawless emblems. There's nowhere to say that you can't, so you can. And this video is going to be focusing on how to solo it and flawless it. You know, it doesn't matter if you're flawless or not. You're still going to get the same amount of loot, but you will get a different emblem. I'll show you it in a minute. But the mods for Eternity difficulty. Oh, before I go over it, I will say, same thing again, update. Ultimatum is not a feasible solo. There is a person that has soloed one of the bosses in this, but it took him 55 minutes and tons of heavy ammo, and it's still not a feasible solo, so I'm not covering it. I can't. I'm just covering the difficulty that's feasible for everybody's solo, which is Eternity. Mods are Eternity mode. There's an exotic boost drop thing going on. Brawn, so your health is massively increased, but you do not regenerate. That is super important. You need a health build because of it. Randomized Bane, Shocker, which can be annoying, and Shielded Foes. Alright. Before I go into this, you need to realise that there is builds better that I could have run. The reason why I haven't is so that people more than likely have the build I'm showing to you today. For example, I would have much preferred to run a Star Eater class item. It's in my vault. I would have preferred to run a Spirit of Star Eater class item, but I'm realising people don't have it. They still don't have it. So I decided not to run it, use it, even though it's better, because I believe most people don't have it. So I want to go with a base build that's good for Warlock starter mains. You can pick this build up, easy to obtain the stuff, you know, most of the stuff at least. And it's all based around Necrotic Crypt, Song of Flame. It's a good starter build when you want to start soloing on a Warlock. That's what I went with, and the build and fragments will never change at all throughout the dungeon. Only thing that will change is weapons. Weapons will change, but everything else will stay the same. Okay, so the actual build. Oh, just what you get for this. So this is the Solar Flawless emblem. There you go. That's what it looks like. Not the best looking emblem, but that's what it is. Alright, so the build. The dim links will all contain this same build. Nothing changes apart from weapons. Song of Flame, Phoenix Dive, Arcane Needle, Healing Grenade, Feed the Void, Helion. You do not need Bleak Watcher in this. You are putting yourself at a disadvantage if you use it. I'll tell you in the run why. Facet of Ruin, Facet of Purpose, Facet of Dawn, Facet of Protection, Facet of Dominance. That is the base build. I'm not going to go through every single mod because there's 4 builds and I don't want my video to be too long. But there'll be more advanced information about this in the run, and there'll be dim links in the description. Let's talk weapons though. By an encounter basis, you will change your weapons. First encounter, run a sniper. If you don't have supremacy, use some other sniper. I'm sure you've got some kinetic sniper in your vault. Just use a kinetic sniper because a barrier sniper. It's really handy for the first couple of sections in this. Riposte, if you don't have it, run Rossarago. If you don't want to use that, then use the Void Auto. I forgot what the name of it is. I forgot the name of the Garden of Salvation Auto. Use a Void Primary that you like using. Yeah. I don't recommend double special in this. I'm not doing it. Right. Primary, you shooting fuses. And Thunderlord for the starting section's rather nice. Then, when we get to the first boss, there'll be a base build surge switch. Base build surge switch. In order to achieve this, you have a healthy finisher on the first build, and then a time dilation on the second with triple arc weapon surge. Or a matching surge to match your weapon. Weapons. So, we're running Tina's, Riposte again, Queenbreaker Bow. Well, it used to be called Queenbreaker Bow in D1. I don't know why I keep calling it Queenbreaker Bow. The Queenbreaker. Run that. It's going to be best in slot for the first boss. Then you'll surge switch for DPS, blah, blah, blah. That'll be explained. Then, final boss and some of the stuff just before the final boss, you switch to this build. These weapons. Lost Signal, because people have it. That's the role that you should be crafting on it. Again, I'm sticking with the Riposte. And Grando. Grando is unbelievable. I've tested some damage rotations today, and I've come to the conclusion that like for non-raid exotics, this is your go-to. 1k Voices melts final boss. It does, and there's some other things that do as well, but Grand Overture, in my opinion, is probably one of the best things that you can use on a non-Arc Titan build, because we're not on a Bolt Charge build, right? If you're on a Bolt Charge build, just stick on Thunderlord. But we're not on that. We're on Warlock, Song of Flame, and this works out, honestly, unbelievable. Here's the artifact mods. I'll never swap these. They will always be the same, and they were enhanced at the time of the run. This was enhanced. Don't argue with me. There's been people arguing with me about Tomb of Want. Tomb of Want will run out after 6 active rituals. The dungeon will count each part as a ritual, each encounter. It's just run out. Yeah? So those traits were enhanced, the ones that you see here. Alright? But again, it didn't really matter. The only enhanced one I wanted was Volatile Marksman, Dielectric, and Maligned Harvest. The rest of it, you know, fine. Limit Break is a free damage buff to Song of Flame, put it on. Particle goes on because you are using linears. I know we're not always using linears, but, you know, don't forget to swap those artifact mods because they're not linked to dim links. Alright, that was the build information. On with the run. Okay, so on with the run. So this run we're going to go through the moment-to-moment advices, following the gameplay along. And all the steps you need to take so that you get a solo floss rather easily on this dungeon. So you want to put a Baron in first, of course, for the first encounter. You're going to melt your Minotaur, and what you're going to do is just ignore the ads for the most part and do all the fuses. Now there's different routes you can take. I took this route, and this is my routine. If you do not have your own routine, then use this one. This one works perfect. This deals with the 4 circuits, no problem. You want to activate Devour here and there, use your healing aids, use Phoenix Dive for restoration. You want to top up your health a little bit as you're going through, but with Brawn on, it makes you quite tanky. So you can tank the Cyclops damage, for example. Don't kill Cyclopses until the boss spawns in. If you kill Cyclopses, they will only respawn. It's a pointless, fruitless endeavour. Just do the fuses, follow the route on screen if you do not have a routine. If you have your own routine, use it. But I'm not going to use your routine because I've got my own. Sorry. You can do left circuits first, right circuits first. You know, whatever circuit you want first. But I have my own routine circuit and I'll stick to it. If you don't have one, you're welcome to use mine or someone else's. Up to you. The end result is the same. Regardless of how you do it, it's up to you and you're comfortable on the movement. That is the biggest thing. Coming out of those doors, Cyclops will hit you, but again, you're Brawn. Void Resist helps. Do not complete all circuits until the end. Complete all of them at the end. Supplicants will spawn in all at the end. This is the optimized way to do it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to kill all Cyclopses in this arena. They will not respawn. They will not respawn. This isolates Cyclopses away from you and the boss. This may take longer, but so what? It means you can have fun DPS in the Hydra. Activate a Phoenix Dive before you pop Super, because you've got Helion in combination with Song of Flame. This is why I've got a Sniper on, everybody. Is because it bypasses Hydra shields. And there's a couple of Hydras to kill. So just keep doing that. You might not kill him in one rotation. If I had triple kinetic surge, I probably would. But, you know, I don't. That's fine. You've got a Transcendence to use, but I'm not going to use it. You know why? Because the boss is done in 10 seconds. And I don't want to have to farm another Transcendence while I'm doing the circuits. So in actual fact, I just kept my Transcendence. Don't need to use it. I can finish the boss off with Thunderlord. There we go, done. Bang, done. You'll get loot for this encounter as well. There you go. Now for editing purposes, I'm going to speed up the footage. Why? Well, because I don't want my video to be too long. You know, I've got a 40-minute odd dungeon solo flawless run here. I've had to do an intro section to tell you about the builds. That adds 7 minutes to the video. So there's that. Then I'm doing this. Then I'm giving you 12 billion dim links in the description that are probably going to be the wrong dim links. And I'm going to have to sort it out. So there's a lot to it. So I want to speed up the video where it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter, the traversal. If you've done Explorer mode, you should know where to go. There's no excuses now. New players can't hide anywhere now. Years ago, I would always get, where'd you go for traversal? You've done Explorer mode. I'm not hearing it off you. You know where to go. But the difference and the elaboration, though, is that you get no health for traversal. So what you want to do, because of Brawn, is use your Healing Aid, use your Phoenix Dive, use an odd Devour kill. But don't be killing all these ads. You're going to make you run an hour plus. If you do that entire section, that takes 10 minutes to clean out the Hydra and all the ads. No way, man. You're already doing too much as it is. So, so just skip it. Use your healing abilities. Because there's a lot of healing in this kit. And I've got Phoenix Dive on, but it's on for a magical reason. 2 magical reasons. Because the other week there, I told Warlock loyalists that Phoenix Dive is not better than Rift. But I also said there are Phoenix Dive needs and there are Healing Rift needs. In this dungeon, Healing Rifts are terrible because they don't work properly. So Phoenix Dive is the play, but it's not just because of that, everybody. There's a reason that makes Phoenix Dive best in slot for this because of 2 reasons, and I'll bring them up when I get to it. So Warlock mains, before you call me and say I'm a hypocrite about the dive, well, I would reply to you and say, go and look at my 2018 gameplay. I was one of the best Phoenix Dive players in the game. And that was when we was in a Phoenix Dive meta. I'm not fishing out the video for you. We was in a Phoenix Dive meta. It was a small amount of time, and I was abusing it. I was a Phoenix Dive king. Make no mistake, Phoenix Dive's good in the game now, but it isn't as good as what it was. The old Phoenix Dive. So, I'm pro Phoenix Dive, but I'm also pro Rift. In gameplay, solo GM gameplay, no, Rift's a king. Lockdown zones, Rift's a king. Dungeon gameplay, more mobility? Nah. Phoenix Dives are better. Because it's more mobility of your Warlock. It's making you more agile. Alright, so when you complete the fuses, which if you've done Explorer mode, you should know where they are. You get the difference is now you get free Harpies, VIPs. Kill them with Thunderlord, not the sniper. Save all sniper ammo. Save all sniper ammo you need it for you want it for the next part. Use T-Load. Use Thunderlord because you've got plenty ammo of it. Right, it goes far. Right, refresh buff, you probably will need it, so go and get it. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing. Remember, with this dungeon, you're a D2 electrician. You're a certified. You've passed your course, you've done your apprenticeship. Once you've mastered the circuits, you're a certified D2 electrician. But chances are you may be after a D2 scientist and a D2 librarian like me, but they're hard to get out of. But most of us are going to be D2 electricians. After this week of Spire, constant gameplay, you're going to be perfect at it. Because this dungeon's a mastery of circuits. It's not a mastery of combat. Alright, there's other dungeons that demand much more of you as a player for combat than this one. Although, the final boss is the exception to what I've said. But everything else in this dungeon is kind of mid. And I'll talk more about that as the video goes on. It's constructive feedback. And by the way, I give my thoughts on Spire the Watcher when it first released. Because I missed a fuse here. Because if you don't know, I actually solo forced it when the dungeon came out, fresh. Yeah, I was right on it right away. So, I've knew about Spire for a long time. Take the Hydra to your right if there is one, because he just flinches you out of damage. These Hydras flinch you like crazy. Pop a super, this is the time to pop it. The Hydra's going to get you really weak. So use the barrier sniper, look at how good it's doing for us. This is why I've got it on. If you don't have supremacy, use the Vogue sniper. If you don't have the Vogue sniper, then use some other sniper that's in your vault. I'm sure you have at least one. But definitely use a sniper or no land beyond if you want. You have to take Thunderlord off though, remember? Which you can do. You don't have to use Thunderlord on this bit. So you could use no land beyond if you wanted. It would be no problem to do that. I used no land beyond on the last run, although you'd have to pre-order. You'd have to put down... some people are making out, Edge of Fate's $10 billion to buy. And it's like a limited edition, some people. Just follow the fuses. But yeah, you do need to pre-order to get No Land Beyond. But yeah, just follow the round. This is the final route. You want a Transcendence saved. You want a Transcendence saved for the final boss because there's a boss on this section. It's been updated, of course. The old dungeon didn't have a boss there because this was classed as a mini encounter, not a main encounter. I've missed a fuse notice, so I'm not being a certified D2 electrician. And I'm not noticing neither. Why am I not now I'm noticing. There we go. I fell asleep there for a few seconds. If things like that happen, that's fine. Use your healing abilities, look. Healing grenade, Phoenix dive. Yeah, that's the fuse I've missed, look. Look at the amount of flinch that's going on here. A lot of flinch. Okay, so just finish that off. And then what we're going to do is pop a Transcendence on the boss. And you're going to do T-Lord. You're going to do your Transcendence nades, etc. We've run out of buff. Man, I would, wouldn't I? That's alright though, I'll quickly go and get it. That's it. Final fuse is completed. Now you come here, jump down. Don't stay up top, just jump down. This is the best place to fight. Clear out some of these goblins. Look at that poisoning. This is why I chose poisoning for this, really good. Activate Phoenix Dive. Pop a Transcendence and just use your abilities and melt with T-Lord. The boss is staggered. I can't access his crit. There's nothing I can do about that. But I'm not bothered. He's dead. By the time I talk to you right now, he's dead. So we're done on this section. Okay, so for the first boss, we're going to swap the loadout. So it's going to be the Queenbreaker. It's going to be Tina's. And it's going to be Auto Rifle. Now this boss fight, okay, has plagued console players for years at this point. He has plagued console players for years. And if you do own a high-spec PC and you play on mouse and keyboard, you have actually officially paid to win on this dungeon. Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble for it. Let me explain what I mean. I will in a minute, but let's explain the mechanics first. Explain the mechanics and I'll talk about the PC versus console for this fight because it's a problem. I'm talking seriously now. First and foremost, there are squares and shapes in the middle. Read the shapes top to bottom. Get a buff off the Minotaur. Read your symbols from bottom to, top to bottom. So it's square. And then diamond or triangle or whatever. Yeah, you read it from top to bottom. It's an order. If you don't do it in the right order, you will wipe. Potentially wipe. Well, you can fix it, but you may wipe. Don't let that happen. Just do the route. Complete each circuit as it comes so you don't get mixed up. Okay, so it's square, then it was, now it's triangle, triangle, square. And then you follow the runways. Ignore the ads. Ignore ads for the most part. Proc a odd devour, a odd healing rift, a odd healing nade, sorry. And stuff like that. Now let's talk about the console versus PC thing. Because it's not much of a problem, console versus PC, but it is for this fight. The reason being is because Akelous' DPS starts as the eyes open up, not afterwards. Therefore, if you shoot eyes slow, your damage will be rubbish. If you shoot eyes fast, your damage will be great. On a console, we have thumbs. That's all we're using. You PC players are using your damn arm, your full arm. Some of you are putting your shoulder into the mice. Into your mouse. I've seen the way you carry on. I'm just using two thumbs. You're using a full arm. But anyways, PC does not have aim assist. Okay? Which is good. It's a good thing. There's an aim assist problem on console. It's still a problem. Bungie buffed it. Nerfed it, sorry. Which they needed to nerf it. They need to nerf it again. I guess I'm the only person that can tell Bungie that, oh yeah, you need to nerf this because there's no one else on console. But, yeah, aim assist is a problem. If a goblin enters your Matrix DPS against this boss, you are going to be out damaged by the goblin and your gun will auto seek the goblin and you will lose damage, and that is catastrophic to this build, to this boss. Sorry. Because you turn it to a 3 phase to a 4 phase, and that's annoying. And maybe for some other players 5, 6, 7 phases because of it. So console players need to recognise the best options to shoot eyes. Here they are quickly. High rate of fire SMG, high rate of fire auto rifle, traced rifles, Riptide fusion rifle-esque type weapons. Rocket sidearms are best, I believe, right? I find them to be the best. But you could use a trace rifle as well. But there's more nuance with the trace. I think The sidearm's better because it one-shots all the eyes. And Tina's is very good. You need to do prep before damage. You need super, transcendence, a phoenix dive, and 3 armor charges. That's the prep you need to do. Get the ads off the runway. If it's the final runway, get them off. You're not going to shoot the final fuse until you're prepped. Once you're prepped, pick up a buff again. Get that runway clean. You don't want any aim assist issues. Right. Pop on your surges. Do a surge switch. Proc Phoenix Dive. Transcendence pop. Before eyes, not after. Now you're going to do Tina's. Now I mess up a little bit on here, but may I remind you, this was still a solo free phase. I just messed my eyes up on this damage phase, not any others. I was slightly slow. I missed a couple of shots, I think. So, now you're going to pop super, and you've debuffed the boss with Transcendence, and you're going to hip fire. Follow the boss. This is the strat. Hip fire, Queenbreaker. It's way easier to get the crit look. This is so easy for damage. This is good. Now, the boss may knock me off. He does. Boom. Phoenix Dive to stop the animation. Phoenix Dive is king for this boss fight because of that alone. This does 2 things. It allows me to play up close on damage so that I can easily hit crits. And it also means that I will not be knocked off the boss, because he will knock you off if you don't have Phoenix Dive. Sometimes he won't, sometimes he will. But Phoenix Dive counters the concussive blast. So this makes it very easy to DPS on console. Now it's easy to DPS on Steam, on PC. But console players have the most trouble shooting the eyes in time. Yeah? Well, like I say, rocket sidearm is the way to go, people. I know I was a little bit slow on the eyes there, but watch phase 2. You watch the redemption arc for me on phase 2 damage. Phase 1 damage, I should get to the C. I'm below the C, so I'm actually below 3 phase progress. I'm actually on 4 phase progress at the minute. I would say that damage is about 27% damage. Visually checking it, it's about just above the C. That's not good. It should be at the C. So we're about 5% short of where I should be. This is critical. Got to micromanage it to that level. You do. But don't you worry. On the next 2 phases, we melt him. And again, the strat works. With Tina's for the eyes. Yeah, doing a transcendence before the eyes, so you access to debuff on damage. Don't pop it after, you'll lose 3 seconds of damage. In the world of DPS, 3 seconds of damage lost is huge. That could be 2-3 shots of Queenbreaker. Generally speaking, that's a lot of damage lost. Obviously use particle deconstruction as well. But what are you going to do? Rinse and repeat from here. Remember to kill the harpies. They will outflinch your damage. This will be a bad experience. If you want a better experience in this, is always kill harpies before damage. That is number 1 prep. Number 2 prep before damage. You need a super. Number 3 prep, a transcendence fully charged. Number 4, a phoenix dive. And then number 5, 3 blocks of armor charges. If you don't do that and you don't surge switch, you're going to lose 22% damage. Remember, they have got hot swap in. Sorry, not swap. But it doesn't matter about not swap. On contest, you can still get surges by just swapping boots. If the armor's identical, you just swap to surges and you still get them. I thought not swap would solve the surge issue, and it hasn't. But what I would say is just play along with it for now. That's what the game is at the minute. 22%. Surges. You've got to run them. If you don't run them for console players, and I see that those are the most types of players who won't surge switch, I would say to PS5 players, you're maybe being unreasonable. PS5 is a very fast platform, make no mistake. You can get in and out your menu rather quick, even on the standard SSD that PS5 comes with, without upgrading it. It's fast enough. PS4 users have a valid excuse to not surge switch. For those, they can't. PS4 users can't surge switch. It's just not feasible for them. So they'll have to just rely on quick eye kill and just DPS the boss. Your damage will be 4 phases or even 5 on PS4. Okay, let's watch eyes. Let's see how good I go from right to left. Remember, Tina's one-shots the eyes. So we're going to do that. There we go. We get the final eye. Use Transcendence back end. Then super. Then we're going to go down the runway and hip fire. There are holes in the runway. But because I'm hip firing, my camera can see where the holes are. Isn't it brilliant? Genius. So hip firing is the way to do this. It's unbelievably good. Look at the damage. Look at how good the damage is now. And there we go. He blasts me off the map. Tries to. Phoenix dive king. We do our Phoenix king dive. And we don't knock off the map. And it increases damage. This makes DPS very easy. I'm not... If I was to give a stress level for DPS during me doing that, the stress level might be slightly high for killing the eyes. So it's like a 6. But when I get past the eyes, it's like a 2 out of 10. Just running up the map, walking up the map, hip firing Queenbreaker, the DPS is very easy. If you follow the rules, it is. It can be really hard though as well. If you leave Harpies up, they're going to flinch you out of the damage. You will be flinched into the next Matrix dimension if you leave 20 Harpies. Don't. Kill them and prep. Think about the room. I know it's not a room because we're on top of a building, but think about the environment. You need to start prepping it. And it's not just this environment, it's all environments, dungeon-based and GMs. Think about what you're doing on a moment-to-moment basis, and before you come to a critical moment, for dungeons it's DPS, have you prepped the room? On GMs it's a lot different, but on dungeons, yeah. Have you done your buff stacking? Yeah. Because for new players, you've got to learn eventually buff stacking because if I've got time to talk about this, I think I have. Because what you need to realise is D3 is nowhere near. They haven't even started making D3. So Bungie's going to evolve. Bungie's going to evolve the Destiny franchise via Destiny 2. So Destiny 2 is going to become more complicated as time goes on. So for newer players or players who just don't like managing buffs and debuffs, I'm sorry, but it's only going to get more complicated from here on out. There's going to be more complex mechanics next year. All that stuff's there's going to be more puzzle solving. It's just going to go that way because Bungie can't express it through a new IP, Destiny-wise. So the only way to do it is just to enhance D2. And that's exactly what they're going to do, aren't they? It's the most plausible answer to what's coming up. They'll only evolve D2. So by 2027, for example, if D2 is still going, it'll evolve even still more. With more mechanics and more things to do. So for newer players, you need to get ahead now and start thinking about managing buffs and debuffs. I've made plenty of videos about it, but it's something you need to start working on now on your game. It won't take you that long. Once you get into the swing of it, you'll think, why didn't I learn this sooner? But you do need to think about it. Because as I say, the game's only going to get more complicated from here on out. There's going to be something for everybody next year. Well, Edge of Fate era. But on the high-end stuff, they're going to get more complicated with things. That's how I see D2 going. It's not going to be dumbed down. No way. They're going to just bring it up. They're going to bring it up high-end. Mechanic-wise, buff stacking-wise, armor-wise, you know, all that stuff. Armor-wise is confirmed, by the way. Okay, so I'm doing my prep, right? So what have I got? I've got 3 armor charges. That's my buff. That's my 22% weapon surge. I've got my super. I've got my transcendence. Is the runway clear? So I'm thinking about that right now. Runway is clear. I've got an attrition buff. So what I'm going to do is now shoot that and then do my final damage. So you go in your menu, swap to the surge build. So you get the 22% arc buff. Pop a Phoenix dive, transcendence, then shoot the eyes. I do right to left, that's my rotation. If you want to go left to right, you can do, it's up to you. That's just how I do my eyes. And look, this is around about the time you should do it. So that's as good as what I'll get on console, the eye shooting there. And that's perfect, that's fine. I'm doing more than enough damage. It's a solo free phase, which is the standard for what other PC players are doing. So it's fine, this is perfect. Well, not perfect in terms of I have missed a crit there actually, but it's a good strat, and it means I will consistently solo free phase on this. So there is a grace period there is a grace period with this boss. So it looks like I haven't killed him, but there's a few seconds at the end where explosive type damage still damages him and I kill him. There's always been a grace period with him. That's always been a thing. That's not a bug. Ever since this dungeon came out, that's always existed. I know because I remember when I was initially doing Spire solo runs back in the day. Okay, so the Pillory stack encounter, they've changed it on this difficulty where the fuses are randomised. Makes it a lot harder for editing purposes. I'm going to speed up the footage though. So here you just want to build up 20 missile stacks. Do it before you get to the final boss. It saves you so much time if you do. And it's well worth it with Grando. Okay, come to here and you need to look at the full room of which switch you need to shoot. It's randomised. If you don't shoot them quick enough, they lock and you need to do it again. So stand in a good spot. Make sure your FOV slider is a good wide camera pan angle. You know, if you're playing on 55 FOV, you haven't got a chance to see the room. You can't even see the door, never mind the full room. Make sure, especially PS5 console players, FOV, make sure it's good level. So you can see the full room and you can see all the switches. If you can't see all the switches, you're going to have trouble with this. Because you're solo. This was designed for a fire team. And I didn't really like this bit, to be honest, with the fuses where they're randomised. For a fire team, it makes perfect sense. But for a solo, it doesn't. It doesn't because you're looking all around the room and it's RNG. You could look at 4 switches wrong and not look at the right one. That could totally happen. And that would be to no one's fault, that. But yeah, you've got to be very vigilant with these fuses because of the change. I think that's one of the hardest changes in this dungeon. That on a solo perspective, that's one of the hardest changes. The shapes and all that stuff are no problem. It's the fuses. And that change, I've said, is at the final boss as well. So kill the Hydra in middle. You need to kill the Hydras, kill the Goblins, and then you're going to kill a Minotaur. There's 5 switches in this room. It's a hard room, this. Because again, it's RNG on which fuse shows up, does it show up at the right time, etc. What you will find, however, in this room, with the Devoured Chain Killing on the Warlock, you'll be able to survive very easily. So the ads won't be an issue to you, it's just the switches. Getting the buff and checking that you're getting the right switch. You might not get it first time, might take 2 goes, might take 3. Remember, there's a fuse in middle, and then there's 4 on the outside walls, which you need to map rotate to find them. So look, I get bad luck there. Don't get it on this one. We'll get it on the next run, I think. So yeah, you just want to keep doing that. Remember, prep your 20 missiles so that it's done for the final boss. It saves a lot of time, especially if you're doing the Grando strat, which I recommend that you do. Strongly recommend it. Once you're done, the chest is under there where the vent is. But anyways, let's get on with the boss fight. So, reload Grando to 20 and missile reload it. So it's got 20 missiles. Do it now so you don't need to do it later. It will be a disaster if you do it on damage. You'll lose so much time if that happens. Even 2 seconds is critical. Don't let that happen. Prep your stuff in advance. Alright, so Hydra left and right. Kill them. The Hydra's first. That's your first goal. Boss will wander the map. You need to map rotate with the boss. Void resistant concussive dampening will save you against the boss. Make sure you keep using Devour, keep chaining your health, using healing nades, Phoenix Dive, etc. 2 Minotaurs will spawn in left and right. Supplicants, though, need to be killed. Use Lost Signal to disintegrate them. Have map control of middle. You need a good map control of middle to shoot the fuses, because the Supplicants will explode on you when you try and shoot the fuses. And the boss will creep up on you. So look, I'm managing the room there. I've got full HP there. So it wasn't even that hard. Why? Because I managed the Supplicants, I managed the boss, and I managed my health. That allowed me to not die. People will die shooting switches solo. Because you'll look at one switch, damn, it's closed. Next switch, damn, it's closed. Oh, this one's open. By the time all that happens, you fail the switches. You've got to be hyper. You've got to be on the nose. You've got to lock in for that. That's probably the hardest bit, I think. Rest of it's fine. Rest of it's totally fine. Even DPS. DPS is great on this. It's fantastic. Easy solo free phase. Easy. On Eternity. Easy solo free phase. Okay, so there's going to be shapes in this room. This is the change. You only need to do 2 circuits. So you're going to get a buff from the Minotaurs. It can be refreshed when you want it to be. We've got square and triangle. So, to nobody's surprise, we're going to do square first. But I need some orbs, so I'm going to quickly do that. If you want to prep all your stuff, then do circuits. I'm not against that at all. Get your 3 orbs of power, your super, your transcendence, everything. Then do circuits. Because then you can entirely focus on just circuits then. Then you don't need to think and say, oh, I need an orb of power. I need a transcendence. You don't need to micromanage because you've already done it. So prep that first, then do circuits. Make it easier for newer players. Then you're going to start doing your circuits. Do the correct one first though. Do one at a time so you don't mess it up. I recommend the players just do it one at a time. If you're an advanced player, well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, if you're an advanced player, you can just do both and multitask. To new players, do one circuit. Complete the circuit actually. Get rid of it, get it done. Then you work on the second one. Again, like I say, micromanage the boss, kite him around the map, learn map awareness with this boss. It's the biggest skill you can learn. Disintegrate your supplicants with lost signal. That is why I'm using it. You will not die to supplicants if you follow the tips. Wait until the boss comes into this room. You're going to lock him in the room. Look. You're closing the doors. Shut the doors, reactor surge, run out of the room. That will lock him in there. Takes his shield off. Right. Now you're going to look vividly at all your fuses. Which one opens first? Boom. Look at where it is. Start shooting them. You've got plenty of time to shoot these, by the way. Plenty of time. Okay, surge switch. Right? Do a Phoenix dive in advance, then pop Transcendence. This will poison the boss and weaken him. Then use Lost Signal, then missile, 20 missiles with Grand Overture, then pop Super. Then you want to do missiles over and over like this. Do it until about 17 or 18 stacks, roughly. Yeah, do it till you get to 1. Then do alt reload again. Then you do your shots again. Then you rely on super damage at the back end of damage. Yeah, and then look at the damage. We get to the L. That's free phase territory. That damage, by the way, is standard damage. It's average for me, but I can do better than that. And on my second phase, I actually do more damage than that because I incorporate a few more lost signal shots and a few more poison and melees. Yeah, so I start to, refine the damage, which that's what people will do naturally. You might not notice it, but if you do a damage rotation once, the second time you do it, you'll find yourself on a fraction of seconds quicker on it. You'll be like, damn, I'm a little bit better at this. Well, it's natural because you've already done it once. So you're going to be better at it naturally the second time. And then the third time, even better still. On the second phase in this boss fight, you can fight in this room. Not on the first phase, but on the second phase you can. This allows me and you to load 20 missiles prep into Grand Overture. It does require a little bit of time investment from you, but it's well worth it. And it's so fun on this boss. So I still recommend it. And to newer players who don't like managing buffs, like I've said, D2 is only going to get more complicated from now on. And if D2 is a hobby game for you, I think you should take the time to learn the buffs and debuffs in this game and the mechanics. Go on D2 Compendium. Go and have a read up on game mechanics, buffs, how global stacking works. Go and read up on it. If you're into this game, then be into it. Don't do things by half. I'm not one of those people either. Be one of those people that, alright, you commit to the game a little bit. Maybe not fully, but a little bit. Go and read up on the game. Before bed, go and read up on it. Instead of watching some show on Netflix that you don't like. Instead of doing that, go and read up on it. And then the next day you come and play, you've learned some stuff. Or, if you don't like reading, watch some videos on D2 then. There's plenty of them. Loads of them. Hundreds and hundreds of D2 videos get uploaded on a daily basis. Like by multiple content creators. So there's lots of content out there for you to watch and learn. There's loads. So, we're now on phase 2 of damage. Yeah, sorry, we're on phase 2. We're opening the door. Set off the red laser things. These Vex androids, whatever they're called, prep the room. Get rid of these. Don't have these up later on. Get them shot now. That is an efficient thing you should be doing. Don't keep them up while you're shooting fuses. That could cause a death. They could detain you and supplicants could explode on you. You are increasing the risk of death. You may not die because of brawn, but you're objectively harming your own gameplay by not doing these little tips. If you prep the room and they're all done, then you're good. Start thinking about your orbs of power, of course. That's what I'm doing now. So I need another orb of power, which I have Stasis Siphon on for that, or heavy-handed. Either way, doesn't matter. I've got an orb in middle there, look. So I've got my 3 armor charges. I've got my super just about, Transcendence, full ammo, 20 missiles loaded. Now I need to do circuits. So see how I've separated the prep work from the circuit work. That way you can wholeheartedly do these circuits at full health, which you probably will be, because you've got the healing aids, you've got the devour, you've got all that stuff going on, so you should be fine. Remember to do the correct symbol. Don't do the wrong one though. Don't be the guy that does the wrong one. Don't do it. Just, as I say, you can prep both of them and get them to the final node. But, like I say, for newer players, just do one circuit at a time. Better off doing that. I was just double checking it was triangle. For some reason, I was second guessing myself. I don't know why. So it's triangle circuit, so I'll go and finish that off. Now it's another circuit. I do like the changes on this boss fight from 4 circuits to 2, because 4 circuits was a slog. Only doing 2 circuits now to get to DPS. That ain't bad. This boss fight's always been good though. It's a highly rated boss fight from me because the boss is a constant threat. It challenges you as a player a little bit. It makes you fight a little bit better because some dungeon bosses have dungeon bosses that are not a threat for the entire time. Whereas this fight is one of the best fights for having a chase, thrill of the chase. You're getting chased by the boss constant. It's good. It's good boss design. It's one of the best dungeon bosses in the game. I'm not saying it's the best, like dungeon boss objectively, but it's definitely top 3, maybe top 5. It's within top 5. I don't know exactly where I would place it. Final node, make sure the boss is in the room, lock him in, remember. And same thing again, get to the back of the map so you can see all the fuses from one angle of your camera. Look, I see exactly where it left. Left again. Right, then straight ahead. Then it's right, and then it's back right. There you go, see how easy it is? Easy, like that. Okay, let's watch damage this time. Phoenix Dive first. Transcendence Pop. Lost Signal. Debuff. Arcane Needle Poison. 20 missiles shot. Then we do a bit more poison, a bit more lost signal. Then we go back to Grand Overture. Because I realise I've got more enough time. By the time I get 18 stacks, I always have 5 seconds left. So I may as well optimise my damage in the meantime. By doing more Helion, more lost signal, more poisoning. As long as you get 2 stacks of missiles in your rotation. Look at the damage. Look at how good that damage is. It's incredible damage for this. Don't forget you got Radiant with Song of Flame, which does stack with Weapon Surges. And Facet of Dominance stacks with all of that as well. So you're doing a crazy amount of damage. It's good. 3 players would solo 1 cycle this boss on this difficulty. Now on Ultimatum, I'm not 100% on the Grando. I have not seen any team run Grando on Ultimatum, so I don't know. But I know that Lord of Wolves is very good on this boss. Teams have solo 1 cycled him. I can't mind what they used now. I seen it the other day. Maybe it was Queenbreaker Div. Can't mind what they used. But anyways, same thing again. Now we go back to managing the room. Hydras can be melted from here. We want to use the Hydras for as much missiles as possible. Look at the boss's health. He's probably got 25% left, so there's a 5% leeway. But what I will tell you is, my 3rd phase ends premature. I kill him well before the timer ends, which means to me, it says to me, look, this boss is easily solo 3 phaseable. Providing that you know the method, it's repeatable, easily done for people. However, if you don't take my advice and you do a little different things and you don't pop Transcendence, you don't do weapon surges, it's going to be a 4 phase, maybe even 5 for some people who don't get the timing down. I think without surges it'll be a 4 phase. So if you don't really want to surge switch, then it's going to be a 4 phase. So it's an extra 7 minutes to your run. Not a big deal, is it? Not too much of a big deal. But I still recommend that you surge switch. Take advantage of the 22% buff. Because that's still in the game, and it's not just for this, it's for Ultimatum as well. People were under the impression, I was under the impression that Hot Swap was going to fix that, and it hasn't. I'm neutral on it at the minute, because on one hand, it's free damage, so it's speeding up the run. Right, but on another hand, it's making people still do what we was doing, so nothing's really solved, to be honest, is it? We're still in the same spot, really, for swapping loadouts on dungeons. So what's the answer? Nerf all bosses by 22%? Because that's what a surge will give you. That's what I would do personally. Nerf the boss's HP by 22%. And I would also say deactivate all surges so they don't work in dungeons. That's the fix. It's a harsh fix. I hear what you're saying, it's harsh. But it's like a lock and key problem. They've got a lock there and they've give you the key for it. But why not just take the lock off and you don't need a key? By just nerfing the bosses by 22%. That's what the surges are. That would be the same outcome, wouldn't it? Think about it. If the boss is nerfed by 22%, but you don't have you cannot activate a surge, then you will still do the same damage in phases. It will still take 3 phases, 2 phases, 4 phases, whatever damage it is. That is the simplest form of fix that I can think of getting rid of surge switching in dungeons. It really is that straightforward. Nerf the bosses by 22%. But there's going to be some new mechanics in Frontiers, and I'm not exactly sure what that is going to be regarding solo ops and stuff. So there's things coming in down the line. So we don't know what's going on yet. Okay, so I'm just completing my circuits. I've got all my stuff prepped, ready to go. The auto rifle performed very good in this with the overshields, of course. That's why I ran it. You can run different auto rifles or different void primaries, up to you, doesn't really matter. We're on the final phase of damage, so let's see. Same thing, it's rinse and repeat. Once you get one phase down, your second phase and third phase should be identical, if not more optimized, because you've got practice. The longer you do this, the better that you will get at it, without you even noticing. You'll just naturally get better with it. Surge switch before damage, always. Do a Phoenix dive, Transcendence pop, poison melee. Debuff on the stairs with the nade. 20 missiles, look at the damage. Another debuff, then super. Man, see him getting better. Then we go in with super, and then more Grando. And we're just going to finish our rotation. So that was a solo Spire Watcher on this. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.